Deion Sanders and Pilar Sanders' unexpected reunion sparks family buzz in Colorado. In the bright, mountain-filtered glow of an early Colorado afternoon, a moment few expected unfolded with a warmth that softened even the most skeptical corners of Buff Nation. Deion coach Prime Sanders and his ex-wife, Pilar Sanders, appeared side by side in Boulder, a quiet yet striking reunion that sent ripples from Folsom Field to the Flatirons and far beyond the Front Range. The sight of two figures who once shared a household, and who continue to share the lives of three talented children, carried more significance than a fleeting photo op. It was a snapshot of complicated grace, a reminder that families, especially high-profile ones, can rewrite their narratives in real time. It wasn't the electric roar of a sellout crowd or the spectacle of a high-stakes Saturday. The reunion, brief and measured, unfolded during a community-forward afternoon near campus, precisely the kind of understated setting Coach Prime has leaned into since arriving in Colorado. There were no press conferences or choreographed entrances, just a shared moment that pulsed with the quiet energy of possibility. Those who noticed everything. The standing distance that conveyed mutual respect, the careful smiles, the nods that acknowledged a shared past while signaling a present centered on their children and a future that, at least in that instant, felt convincingly aligned. By the time the image made its way onto phones and feeds, it was already lore. Students on the Hill buzzed. Alumni watching from across the country exchanged knowing messages. And around Boulder, where the mountains hem in a community that often behaves like a well-knit neighborhood, the chatter spread fast but mostly stayed kind. The question wasn't so much why were they here, but what does it mean? What does it suggest about a family recalibrating in the public eye? In a football town where the program's heartbeat intersects with family life in a way that's unusually visible. To understand the weight of the moment, you have to understand the cast and the setting. Deion Sanders has never been just a coach. He is a movement stitched to a football sideline, part motivator, part marketer, all energy. His relocation to Colorado has tugged a gravity field across Boulder, drawing national media, culture, and commerce into a program that suddenly feels larger than its conference footprint. Pilar Sanders, for her part, is more than a familiar surname. She is a mother, entrepreneur, and media personality, someone who has navigated public attention, private complexity, and the expectations of a world that too often reduces women to a single role when their lives refuse to be that simple. Between them are three shared joys and responsibilities. Their children. Two of their sons have become foundational figures in Boulder's football story. Leaders on the field, faces on billboards, names worn on jerseys. Their daughter has carved her own collegiate path in Colorado, reflecting a family DNA of ambition, visibility, and athletic grace. That reality, family as the subtext of sport, has defined Colorado's new era. And it's why the image of Deion and Pilar in the same frame mattered as much as any post-game presser or viral halftime speech. The program is the stage, but the family is the story. Eyewitnesses described the scene in soft focus, like a documentary that lingers on expressions more than exposition. The exchange wasn't long. It didn't need to be. A greeting, a few words that no bystander tried to lip read. A half smile, maybe two. A mutual acknowledgement more layered than it looked. It didn't ring with reunification or crackle with tension. It simply rested in the middle, in the realm where so many co-parents find themselves when life keeps moving and kids grow into their own spotlights. There was an ease to it, maybe even a relief. Not because it hinted at any dramatic reconciliation, but because it broadcast something far more grounding. Coexistence, the very currency of modern family life. What followed was a cascade of commentary that, for once, refused to turn ugly. On campus, the tone was celebratory, even protective. "Let them have this," one student said, reflecting a sentiment that spread in whispers rather than shouts. Supporters framed the moment as a win for the kids, for the program's culture, and for anyone who's ever tried to make the most of complicated histories. Opponents, accustomed to casting Coach Prime as a lightning rod, largely kept it moving. The day didn't invite hot takes so much as it called for perspective, and Colorado, much to its credit, obliged. Think about the context. The Sanders family's day-to-day intersects with this campus and this city in ways that are unusually public. On Saturdays, sons become symbols and schemes. On weeknights, film sessions bleed into family dinners. In Boulder, where the university is a heartbeat rather than a backdrop, the distance between a headline and a hallway conversation feels short. It's one reason a simple shared moment between two parents could echo so loudly. The stage isn't Hollywood or New York. It's a college town with a national megaphone, a place where movement and meaning often meet on the same block. To those who watched from afar, the reunion felt like a calibration point. For months, really, for years, coverage of Coach Prime has rolled between extremes. Skeptic and savior, flair and fundamentals, brand and ball. But family has always been the through line. It's visible on the sideline in body language and eye contact, audible in interviews that pivot from the tactical to the personal, and obvious in the team's vibe, which reflects a family-first ethos. That's why this moment registered as something deeper than gossip. It connected back to the core story of the Sanders Project in Colorado. The idea that identity, community, and sport can inform one another without losing their center. There's another piece that shouldn't be missed. This reunion, small as it was, landed like a subtle counter-narrative in an era that rewards spectacle and punishes nuance. Co-parenting isn't a headline until it is. Boundaries don't trend until they're bent in public. Yet what Boulder saw wasn't a staged reunion or a reality arc. It was something calmer, more human. Two adults choosing a steady tone in a noisy room, for the sake of three children whose lives are lived partly on camera. It's the kind of quiet that carries a surprising social weight. Without saying a word, it promotes a model that plenty of families will recognize. Disagreement held in tension with dignity, memory coexisting with forward motion, and love showing up not as a romance reboot, but as responsibility honored in real time. Colorado, for its part, plays an outsized role in the atmosphere around the family. The campus is compact enough to feel personal, yet amplified enough to be perpetually televised. A chance coffee sighting can be a soft news item by lunch. A pregame family hug can generate more shares than a postgame stat sheet. In that environment, this brief public alignment did something rare. It quieted the room. There were cameras, yes, but the moment wasn't stolen. It was offered, just enough to assure a watching world that the family's internal architecture remained sound. Of course, the speculation engine churned. Would this lead to more public moments? Could Senior Day bring a fuller montage? Parents at midfield, flashes popping, a last lap wave to the crowd? Would a charity gala see the family share a table, at least for a few minutes, seated beneath the soft glow chandeliers of a Boulder ballroom? The truth, as always, is simpler. The next moments will come if and when they make sense. The family's timeline will remain their own. And if Boulder has learned anything in the Coach Prime era, it's that the most meaningful stories tend to unfold just a beat slower than the most clickable ones. The sports implications were hard to ignore, even as fans tried to keep the conversation grounded. Recruits, after all, watch everything. They see a program's identity in the way it handles adversity, victory, and the space in between. They also see the halo effect, how a coach's personal life harmonizes with his professional ethos. In a hyper-competitive recruiting world where development, culture, and visibility sit on a three-legged stool, a quiet display of family unity, even the functional variety, can be a subtle advantage. It suggests stability. It suggests perspective. It implies that the adults in the room can talk to one another, even when the cameras are rolling. There's also a cultural layer that made the moment particularly resonant. The Sanders family's visibility has always carried representational weight. For many, their public presence opens conversations about Black fatherhood, motherhood, leadership, and collaboration in spaces that too often flatten those stories into stereotypes. Watching two high-profile parents trade a few graceful beats in public, unrushed, unperformative, felt like a reminder that celebrity families can model real-world dynamics without turning them into performance art. It humanized them, which, ironically, might be their most powerful message. For the campus, the moment blended into the afternoon with unexpected ease. Students drifted back to study groups and labs. Athletes returned to workouts. Faculty navigated office hours. The sky did what Colorado skies do. Blazed blue until dusk, then purpled out behind the flatirons. But in group chats and team rooms, there was a little extra lightness. Among the players, whose own families span every possible configuration, the scene hit close to home. Not because it was dramatic, but because it was familiar. Plenty of them know what it means to balance loyalty and logistics, history and hope. They understood instantly what the moment was, and what it wasn't.